Hey everyone, it's Will, GamerDad, with another video for you. So, we do have our newest update, which is, by the way, in-game. So just reset your game and load it up. And if you go into the Dreams section, you will start with this particular screen. So, just as a quick summary, note that if you do encounter a 5-star style that can be Stellar Awakened in the Gallery Dreams, their Awakening gauge will increase by 1. Or you can use an All Cosmos, aka Universal Star Chart, or Style-specific Star Chart to upgrade that gauge from 1 to 2 to 3. Now, the pickup bonus is something specific to certain banners, and Sirius will be the first banner that features it. Basically, when you hit a 5-star, instead of starting with just 1 out of 3 for her first copy, it'll give additional Awakening gauges, and in this case, I believe it gives 2 extra pickup bonuses for a total of 3 out of 3 when you hit the unit. So let's take a quick look at the banners that are available, and you can see the pickup bonus is available. First of all, in tonight's episode of Show You Summon, we'll discuss the banners associated with Sirius. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. Alright, so note that as expected, or shall I say, hopefully not, but it is, this banner only lasts for 17 days, and so this will follow Japan's schedule exactly. I'm not sure why they shortened the banner from 60 days, which we've had in the past for forever, only to 16 days. And let's just be honest, that is with the new changes in the way that we summon units, they've also shortened the banner, which is going to make things a lot harder, both from a saving standpoint and obviously giving us a little bit of FOMO. So let's take a quick look at Sirius's banner first. Again, based on the pickup bonus, if you do hit the 5-star on Sirius's banner, either a Fateful or the regular the free banner, so to speak, you get a +2 to the gauge, which means you'll start off right away with a fully Stellar Awakened Sirius if you do hit the 5-star. Now again, if you hit the 4.5, you get absolutely nothing towards that gauge, and so 4.5 is essentially only a placeholder. Even if you chant it and side grade it that way, you'll have 0 out of 3 gauges charged, in which case you'll have to use 3 Universal All Cosmos Star Charts in order to awaken it, which will take, well, 1 a month for a total of 3 months if you're a free player, and possibly a little bit less if you are have both subscriptions, which I don't even think have kicked in for either global or Japan. So yeah, take a look at the odds, 0.4 and 0.8. Obviously, that's on pulls 1 to 9, and note that it is 10% flat chance on the 10th pull. Other units are obviously not upgraded, so this is a standard Fateful, and this is 3 times only. Bots, Rumble Sisters, and Knights are here. Also of note, if you feel like pulling more than one copy of this 5-star, you can still get an additional 10 light points on top. So first copy of a 5-star will be 16, and then the next one will be 32 plus 10, which was 42. Something to keep in mind if you're really pulling as a heavy whale or heavy spender in order to get as much light or shadow as possible. Now, that being said, I mean, if you're a whale, you probably have enough items to awaken this guy. I mean, in terms of getting 255, not awakening, sorry, say. This is actually an earth bow unit, and so he's a light bow. If you have light items for bow, I'm sure you can get that done very, very quickly. And let's go into Sirius's regular banner. Note that the pickup bonus is still here, and again, if you are pulling more than 1 copy of the 5-star, you can get an extra 10 light points, which if you're a free player, you would never do that because we have never done that in the past. But they have it there to tell you that it's worthwhile to pull on this banner. Alright, odds. Again, note that if you do hit the 5-star, it is automatically awakened. You'll have 3 out of 3, which will be Stellar Awakened right off the bat. And you can see the bonus item is there, as you can see. Okay, same thing. 0.4 for the 4.5, 0.8 for the 5-star. Note that if you do single pulls, the odds are the same. So if you're the Church of Single Pulls, Sirius's banner is going to be the same as everything else. No other featured unit. Everything else odds-wise is split between the other 100 and something units in the game, 5-star wise. And you can see The newest units aren't there, although El Seal, Sesta, Yakima, Minoka, and some of the powerful units like Efi and so on and so forth are there. The altars, most of these are here, including Altar Lulu, so on and so forth. Valette won't be here, and Bots, Rainbow Sisters, and Knights. I know a lot of you have asked me what I think about should you summon on Sirius, and so let's break this down into into the details, both from a unit standpoint as well as a system standpoint. The reason why I have to cover both is because those now have to be a consideration when pulling. Not just the power of the unit, but the power of the unit unawakened versus the power of the unit awakened. Because let's be honest, some of us will hit the 4.5 instead of the awakened, and then you have to decide, are you going to commit more stones to going for the 5-star, or just leave him at that? Okay, so first off the bat, he is a new Pierce Zone setter. He can VC in a Pierce Zone. He can also use a move to set Pierce Zone. It is also preemptive, similar to Yuki no AS. And this one actually does power and int down 25, Pierce resist down 50, and in the same move, you can also use it to awaken zone if you're on the second turn of a rotation on an AF. So it does save a slot that way. He has other ways to kind of most of his buffs are actually to himself. And most of his main benefits are he can give himself crit damage up to 100% in siege mode. And siege mode is kind of like the lunatic of his, although it has a lot of restrictions, which I'll come to very quickly. When in siege mode, which is, like I said, his lunatic mode, applied physical mental focus, which is singular focus on the user, and crit damage is going to be plus 100. So very similar to Sesta's boost, and it's obviously based off MP max. So keep that in mind for these kind of boosts. And his main DPS is Earth Pierce AoE XL plus Inflict stack 3 stacks of Weapon Break Pierce. So you should know by now that that means 3 stacks of any Pierce attack will do double the damage. You need to consume a certain orb called a Blast Bolt in order to increase damage on that, and more on that shortly. At battle start, he can start with either 1 Blast Bolt, and if you Stellar Awaken him, you can actually buy nodes on his Stellar board, which can allow you to start up to 3 Blast Bolts. When you are at 3 Blast Bolts, if yet at any time you're at 3 Blast Bolts and it recognizes it at the beginning of turn, then he'll turn into Siege mode, and when he activates on Siege mode, you'll get power plus 100 to him, and he has continuous barrier pierce as long, for 3 moves, I believe. So that is very, very powerful. Obviously, he'll get straight barrier pierce, and that is very, very nice. Also, he'll have permanent knockback immunity, and this state will end when they have no more blast bolts. So basically, the blast bolts are such that for every pierce move done during that turn, including himself and other team members, it will reset and stack up to 5 blast bolts at the end of turn. So he first removes whatever's left over, and then he'll refresh based on the number of moves. There actually is a move for him to also give himself 3 blast bolts if you can't get enough pierce moves. Say he's not on a pierce team but just on an earth team, he can still give himself some for that. Now, his main DPS, including his Stellar Awakened skills, benefit off that blast bolt, and you need to consume up to 5 stacks in order to really do tons and tons of damage. I think you can get up to 5. So in an all Pierce team, you're probably going to get that very easily. And in his Stellar Awakened move, his Stellar moves allow him to basically repeat his most powerful DPS move 3 times, and actually up to 5 times when in Stellar Burst. So again, this will be demonstrated more once I get Aldo as a Stellar Awaken, which obviously is our first free Stellar Awaken unit, and I'll be able to demonstrate the gauge. But basically, he'll have Awaken units have a new move that basically allows you to do lots and lots of damage, and it's equipped just like other moves. And it's got a separate charge bar, kind of like a mini AF, and you can activate that charged move either outside the AF or during the AF, and if you do it during the AF, it actually pauses the AF and you kind of do some funny things with it. But it is actually really, really powerful and a very unique way to kind of give us our new awakened unit or 6-star or whatever you want to call it. It's a new class of unit out there. It's a lot to kind of absorb. He also has some other things in that fact that he'll be able to interact with other Arcadia characters, which will obviously be released as more of this side episode is done, either gacha or free. I think Aldo will be one, and of course Weirs, which is the lady that's featured in the first trailer, she'll also be a free one. So those two are free, and then obviously you can add Sirius or other units to that. So he has a lot that he brings to the table. Now, first of all, before you summon, and I'm just talking strictly on his use and abilities, make sure you check out one of the subreddit threads on the Another Eden Global subreddit. I think it's written by a very a veteran to the game. His name, I believe, is Bamiji, and it talks about the limitations of clicking and putting, I guess, enhancing the moves. Because what happens is, note that when I mentioned the 3 blast bolts at the beginning of the turn, if you have the nodes that basically help him start with 3 stacks right off the bat, he'll enter siege mode right away. And that sounds good, right? Wrong. Well, depends. He'll also get his 3 barrier pierces. However, he needs to exit siege mode in order for you to kind of restart siege mode and give yourself 3 more barrier pierces. In battles where you need barrier pierce or you try to hold it back, that's going to be a limitation, because in order to get out of siege mode, that means you have to have no pierce attacks done for that whole turn, and then you do a bunch of pierce attacks to get those blast bolts stacked, and the beginning of the turn after is when you'll go back to siege mode. So 2 turns of non-siege mode to re-establish siege mode for him. So again, very, very complicated. Check out the AE wiki for more breakdown on his moves, but it's quite complicated and has some limitations in that. And also a reminder that when you do have a Sirius, if you are going for him, if you are unlocking those stellar nodes, keep in mind that they're non-reversible. You can say you want to fill them all up. It does require 80 light if you want to do that. If you're only going with a 16 light unit, then keep in mind that if you unlock certain paths and you make a mistake, you cannot reset that. And so I wonder if WFS will ever implement an ability to reset it depending on your use, because not everyone's going to have 80, or they're just going to leave it permanently as such. Now, hopefully that gives you a breakdown on some of his moves and kind of the power he brings to the table. Very, very powerful, has some niche uses, obviously some limitations in terms of his character mechanics, may be good for interaction with the Arcadia personality. Now, as a separate note, remember that this unit now, you need to hit it, and I do mean need to hit him as a 5-star right off the bat. You only have 17 days to do that, which is already honestly a scam. This is a scam banner in a different way. We, as a whole, should actually not be happy with the 16 days or 17 days. I mean, it should be 60 days, unless they really want to shorten everything for everything. On top of that, keep in mind that before, we were able to hit a 4.5 and fully awaken, or I'll say unlock, all the moves. This one is locked behind needing to hit the 5-star banner unit on this banner, because if you hit him later on, you only get 1 out of 3 awakened engages. You'll still need 3. And a reminder that if you hit the 4.5, that's 0 out of 3, which means you'll have to wait many months, or eventually if you get extra items from wherever WFS comes from, then you can get that done. So in essence, your 4.5 hit is worthless. That means that on every banner, instead of having a 0.4 and 0.8 combined rate for hitting a Sirius, which is considered, unlocking all the abilities in the past, that means only the 0.8% is considered on this uprated banner is considered viable, in which case, if you do the quick math, you lose 0.4 out of 1.2. That means you've lost a third of your chance, aka pulling is 1/3 less viable, or your stones are worth 1/3 less, depending on how you want to look at it. You can argue 4.5 gives you 4 light, but let's be honest, hitting the unit and waiting 3 months is not what anyone wants to do. Right? Before, you could hit it, you can grind out, if you have chance already, you just grind out the tome and get it done. Now, on another note, on top of that, it's even if you don't go 1/3 less, if you do the math the other way, each banner, if you're aiming for a 5-star specifically, if it's 0.4 and 0.8, will essentially cost you for the same chance of getting a fully unlocked unit, aka the 5-star. Since we ignore the 4-star odds, that is 50% increased cost of getting a particular unit fully unlocked. I cannot condone that kind of loss in rate. And you can say I'm a free-to-play, so why am I complaining? Clearly, I do not deserve all the units in the game. I do not deserve all the mechanics in the game. You can argue I don't monetarily support the game or WFS. I would like to counter that, at least for myself. You can say other free-to-plays as well. For myself, until now, I've always supported WFS and its game, Another Eden. I've always been an advocate of the game. I've always been, part of the community. I tried to direct people to join the game and obviously share all my positive thoughts about the game. This system change is going to cost everyone a lot more. Again, I've spoken about this a lot, but just keep that in mind. If you are pulling on the banner, and I'm not saying you shouldn't or you should, you have to decide for yourself. You've heard my comment about the, the moveset and so on and so forth. Bear in mind, you probably should temper your expectations and budget 50% more stones, because the 4.5 is just not considered a win anymore. It's only a partial win, and unless you consider waiting 3 months for the unit viable, then I don't recommend doing that. And the other thing to keep in mind is that if you are pulling for units, and my understanding is every subsequent unit will now be having the Stellar Awakened ability, whether or not it's AS, ES, Alter, or so on and so forth. That means that you do have to really be careful about which units you summon for, because if you are going for it, you're only going for the 5-star. A 4.5 is not good enough. Also, I did some fun math, so I do apologize for droning on here. I did some fun math. In this year alone, from January to now, there have been 23 banners. I think it's 23 banners. Totally released for units. That is all styles included, alters, ASs, ESs, as well as new normal units. I have pulled on 7 banners. Okay, of those you should know by now. It's Valette, Yakumo, Efi, Sesta. I think I pulled on Premia, El Seal, and Minolka. Those are the 7 I pulled on, and you can clearly see that those are very powerful units. Of the 7 I hit, 3 were 5-stars, 4 are 4.5s. And if you think about the way this system is going to be implemented, that means I would have had to use my entire year's all cosmos star charts to awaken those 4 units. Consider I hit 3 as a 5-star and 4 obviously as a 4.5, and needing to do that. You can also say, what if you off-bannered some of those and hit 5-stars? I don't believe I've hit multiple 5-stars of El Seal, for example, have not hit an extra Efi as a 5-star or a Minolka as a 5-star, just in case you're wondering. On top of that, remember that I mentioned 23 banners total. That means that 16 banners I passed on. If I've used all 12 free star charts, universal star charts from the year's supply, say the system was already in place, that means all 16 units that I passed on, they will always be crippled and not fully Stellar Awakened. And you can clearly see that this problem can snowball over the year. So just as this year as an example, I'd be dead already. And so, it's very disturbing to see this trend. I hope that WFS does unlock or loosen up the purse strings and give us more chances or abilities to get star charts. Even for paid players, I don't think this is a good system for you. You can say, it doesn't matter anyways, I'll pull for the 5-star. Hey, I know of many stories where paid players missed on all 3 Fatefuls and have to use paid stones as free stones on the free banner. Do you really want to do that? And then after 10k, 20k, possibly, hit a 4.5? That's ugly. So just keep that in mind. And remember that for example, for Suzette, which has been announced as a Star Awakened unit, as a past retro unit that now being re-equipped as a Star Awakened unit, even if you have a 255, you will either have to use star chart items, which are limited of course, or pull on a banner. Why are you pulling on a banner that you have 255 light on? Total waste. So anyways, after all that droning on and some consideration, I'm going to actually officially protest this banner. And again, you can call me silly, you can call me trivial, you can call me uneducated. I don't mind you calling me that. This is just my opinion, of course, and everyone has their own opinion. But as a protest, I'm going to not pull on this banner at all. The banner lasts for 17 days. I'm going to put a 14-day ban on this pull for sure, and possibly pass on the banner entirely, because I really want to make a small statement. I know it's small because I'm a nobody. That this system isn't good. And again, maybe some paid players will still do it. I think some paid players are going to, once they see this system continue, because it's only the first of many. As we go on, watch 3 months and 6 months and see where your account is. See if you can maintain all the units or most of the units that you want, and more importantly, can you awaken them all? Because you can have the units. I mean, I have the unit, and technically if I pulled on this banner, probably I have enough stones to give myself a good chance of getting it. But am I going to pull in an El Seal version and get a 4.5 and be like, oh no, I'm done? Anyways, enough ranting. That's my stance. Again, don't let my decisions affect you. That's just my own personal decision. If the unit speaks to you and you like the design, I mean, it is Husbando 10 on 10. Go for the unit. If you want the ability to get a level 100, and I didn't even talk about that, Stellar Awakened units can get up to level 100. Go for it. If it's your Earth Pierce unit or a Pierce Zone setter that you really want, go for it. And more importantly, if you're lucky enough to hit a 5-star in the first pull or first 10 pull, even the more power to you, because you're just going to get a more powerful unit. Like, this is a new level of power creep, and you know, getting a new awesome unit is fun. It's definitely fun. I can't even say it's not fun. It's just that, remember, this is a harbinger of more dark days to come if the system continues on as it currently stands. I mean, hey, WFS, again, can modify the way it does things and make things easier, but as it stands, unfortunately, it doesn't look good for anyone. So, enough talking about that. I'm actually going to create a video in the future of the reality of a free-to-play part 2. Many of you have watched my original one. Things have changed a lot since then, and so watch for that one. It'll be a lot more lighthearted, a lot more sarcastic, shall I say. It's a lot more fun. My friend and I will be doing that in the coming days or weeks. Okay, last thing I will say. There is a banner that can be done with free stones. This is generous for sure. It's available for again, 17 days, I think. So same thing as the other banner. If you use 1,000 stones, you can guarantee one of these 10 characters. A guaranteed 5-star. Now, you can say, that's awesome, right? Well, I only have one statement to ask you. Are any of these able to be awakened? Because if they're not, what a waste. Just think of that. You can get them, and it'll be cool to collect them or get an extra unit, but that's 1,000 stones you can't put towards a Sirius, or the next unit after that, or the next unit after that. And so I would say that if you're a new player and you want to collect all the units, this is a great banner. One of these 10 units, guaranteed to come home, guaranteed 5-star. Some of them are still quite meta. I would argue that AS Cynthia, for example, is quite good. AS Hardy has a niche use still even now. I would also say AS Philo has some niche use. AS Premia actually has a lot of synergy with Cerius. I believe she can carry Grasta and share some personality traits. Not only that, I believe she is also Earth Pierce and Bow. So there is some synergy there. Biaka AS is okay. Alter Shannon is also an Earth Zone setter, so you can now use her or Premia AS with Sirius. And even AS Seal, although not a prize because you can side grade him currently, he is an Earth Bow Pierce setter too, Pierce DPS as well. So there are a few units you can definitely have some synergies with. If you're newer to the game, don't worry about the things I said. This really more affects the economy as a whole, but I think you can still enjoy the game as is. It's just that for us veterans who've seen what it used to be, it has changed quite dramatically, and maybe I'm a little bit pessimistic, but can't say I really like the direction that it's heading in. But I would say that I've been playing this game for so long. The game is still very much worthwhile playing. There's a lot of fun things to do. There's a lot of content. You could play it continuously for thousands of hours and enjoy yourself like a lot. And you won't miss anything by not having all the units in the game. I can tell you from personal experience, having all the units in the game isn't any better or worse. I think it's just a different way to approach the game if you like doing things like that. If you're a completionist like myself, or just like to collect all the units like Pokemon and so on and so forth. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Good luck on everyone who's pulling. Don't forget that you can fight Aldo to awaken him as well. I'll try to do that tonight after this video is published to see if I have time to beat it. I'm really looking forward to him, and more importantly, I'm looking forward to trying him out since he is free. I do have a 255 Aldo. Should be fun. And again, play the side episode. Going to be some fun there. Some dragon killing and some more stones to be earned as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.